likeliest to come to Christ, and this is Saul. Saul had it all figured out. Saul probably had the Old Testament memorized. Saul knew all the rules. According to the law, Saul was blameless. He was a Hebrew of the Hebrews. He was a shining star and a future star in the Jewish faith. But then Saul met Jesus, and his life was completely changed. You see, religion couldn't change Saul. Rituals couldn't change Saul. Reciting things couldn't change Saul. Telling him what he wasn't supposed to do couldn't change Saul. The only way that Saul could change was by meeting Jesus Christ, and by the power of Jesus, Saul was changed. And so this message is going to be the most simple message that I've ever given since I've been at this church. This is going to be so quick. I'm just going to give like 8 little points, and they're all really quick. We're going to get those over with, and then I'm going to tell you a stupid little story of something that happened to me a few months ago, and we're all going to go home, and it's going to be great. So here we go. You think I'm kidding. Boom, boom, boom. This is going to get over with quick. Number 1, Saul immediately knew that Jesus was Lord. Immediately. He called Jesus Lord immediately. And that could happen to some of you today. Some of you today may be on a road to somewhere. You may be on a road to trying to pay your debt off. You may be on the road of trying to get a better job, the road of trying to raise your kids. And for some of you, all of a sudden, you're going to be riding down that road, and the lightning is going to strike, and the bright lights are going to shine, and you are going to hear God's voice speaking into your heart, and you are going to meet Jesus just like that. Number 2, the people around Saul didn't see Jesus. This is interesting to me, because the same thing has been happening ever since this moment throughout history. The same message can be preached, and there are some hearts that will receive Jesus and will say, yes, Jesus is Lord. But there are other hearts who won't. Some of us can hear this message and we can say, yes, I want Jesus to change my life. And others of us are going to say, no way. That's a lesson for us. You can have an experience with Jesus this morning, and the person next to you may not experience a thing. Number 3, Ananias wanted to make sure that God had the right guy. One of the funniest verses in Scripture to me is when Ananias says, really, God? Are you sure that this is the one? You know, like the God who created the universe might have made a mistake and might have picked the wrong person. But we can understand. I mean, Ananias has heard that this man is coming to put them in chains and to arrest them. He's coming to persecute them. And so we have the same problem in today's world. None of us are going to raise our hands and admit it, but we are the same way. A person could walk into this room and we could be like, Jesus? That person? Really? You're going to save him? Or you're going to save her? But the story of Saul shows us that God can save anybody. And it is not our role to stand in judgment of the baggage that somebody else brings into this room. If you've never went through a divorce, then don't stand in judgment of somebody else who's going through a divorce. If you've never suffered from alcoholism, don't stand in judgment of someone else who can't go a day without a drink. If you did everything the perfect way and you were a virgin when you got married, don't stand in judgment of someone else who brings a lot of sexual baggage. If you have never broken the law, don't stand in judgment of someone who has a criminal record from 10 years ago. Jesus can change anyone. It doesn't matter what you did last month. It doesn't matter what you did last night. It doesn't matter what you did this morning. You come here and you meet Jesus on the road to wherever you are going, and Jesus can change you. Number 4. I told you this is going to be quick. Jesus never changes your life only for you. This is one of the misconceptions that a lot of us have, is we feel like, okay, Jesus pulled me to Him. There was this grace that I could not say no to. I was sitting in this chair and I had to say, yes, Jesus, you are mine. And we feel like it's this, like He saved us just for us, but that's not how it happens. Every single person in this room who has met Jesus, Jesus chose you for a reason. He did not choose you just so you could come to church on Sunday mornings and shake hands with some of your friends. He did not choose you just so you can go home and say, I don't have to worry about going to hell now because I'm Christ. He chose you for a specific purpose. Every single person in this room has a role to play and a job to do. Jesus chose Saul for a very specific reason, because He saw Saul with all of his faults and all of the horrible things that he was doing, and He looked at Saul and said, you know, if I could just take all of that misplaced energy and I could just channel it towards the truth, you could be one of the greatest vessels for building my kingdom on earth. And there are some of you sitting here this morning who Jesus wants to use you in that same way. He has a plan for you. He has a mission for you, a purpose for you. There's not a person in this room that doesn't have a future. It doesn't matter how young you are or how old you are. God has a way to use you in Enid to spread the gospel, to provide healing to people who need it, and to bring people to Him. Number 5. Jesus can change your location. Now, Saul went to Damascus, but it wasn't the same Damascus that he was planning to go to. It was a different Damascus. You see, Saul thought as he was going to Damascus that he was going to get there and he was going to be filled with this hate, and he was going to take these wonderful people who had done nothing wrong and he was going to put them in chains and bring them back to Jerusalem and tear families apart and all of these other bad things. But when he got there, it was a different Damascus. And that same thing can happen to some of us today. You may think that this is Enid, Oklahoma, and leave here and this can be Enid, Oklahoma. But it can be a different Enid, Oklahoma, when you have a life filled with purpose and meaning and you're working for Jesus. Number 6. Jesus changes what you care about. Jesus changes what you care about. Saul, when he met Jesus, he started caring about things that were completely different than what he cared about before. When you meet Jesus, something changes inside of you and you start caring about things that you never cared about before. Can I tell y'all a secret about me? Most of you know this, but there's some new folks. I am one messed up dude. I have so many issues. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I'm going to get a couple emails about this later. I don't care. I'm a screw up. I am. If you are visiting this church this morning and you are looking for a pastor who has it all together and has words of wisdom that he can always share over any little thing, I hate to break it to you, but you are at the wrong church this morning. Because I'm messed up. I might be one of the most messed up people in this room. God just gave me a gift to preach. I can't help it. It'd be easier if I was an usher. I wouldn't have the spotlight. It would, but listen, I will tell you something about me. Okay? I care about things completely different than I used to. I look at the world differently than I used to. There are things that break my heart now that would have never broken my heart 10 years ago. When I look at people out there, I look at them completely differently than I looked at them 10 years ago. When I interact with my mom, I interact with her completely different than I did 10 years ago. Why is that? It is because of Jesus changing my life. And Jesus can do that for every single person in this room. He changes what you care about. I talked to an alcoholic one time, and he said, Tim, you will never, ever understand, since this isn't one of your issues. I had a lot of issues, that's not one of them. Since this isn't one of your issues, you'll never understand what it's like to wake up in the morning and wanting a drink so bad, but yet hating the fact that you want a drink so bad. That's a feeling that you'll never understand. And he says, Tim, what I need to have happen is I need somebody to change my want to. That's what Jesus does. Jesus changes your want to. He changes what you care about. Number 7. Jesus changes your destination. We're all heading a certain direction. We're all going down the road of life. And Jesus can take you to a completely different destination than the world can. Number 8. To get to the proper destination, you might have to change your location. You might have to change your location. You see how easy that was? That was so easy. So now I get to tell you my story. This is going to be great. You're going to love this. You're going to think I made it up, but I didn't. I promise you. And it happened to be very recently, and I've been saving it for the perfect week. And this is 3 months ago, 4 months ago, something like that. I was traveling, and I went to the beach, Siesta Key in South Florida. Beautiful, beautiful beach. I would highly recommend it. It was awesome. My parents rented a house there, and we went and we spent a few days, and it was great. I was coming from Oklahoma, and they were coming from Tennessee, so I couldn't ride with them. And so my dad was nice enough to buy me an airlines ticket to Sarasota and then back up to Nashville. A lot of you travel know this. You cannot travel in the southeastern part of this country and not go through Atlanta, Georgia. It is against the law. I don't know when they passed that law when we were sleeping, but they did. They tell me when you go to the Atlanta airport, there's a big sign saying it's the biggest airport in the world. I don't know if that's true. I've never looked it up, but that's what the sign in Atlanta says. It's the only airport I know where there's a subway that takes you from terminal to terminal. I mean, it's crazy. And so I went there, and I went to the beach, and it was perfect. Perfect flights, perfect schedule, everything worked out. My parents got there first, so they came and picked me up at the Sarasota airport. Everything was going well. But then I went home. And this time I was going to Tennessee. But once again, it didn't matter that I was going to Oklahoma or Tennessee. I had to stop in Atlanta. That's what you do. So I flew from Sarasota to Atlanta. And when we were getting close to Atlanta, the pilot came over the speaker and said, there is a thunderstorm, really, really, really bad thunderstorm about to hit Atlanta. We're going to have to detour a little bit. And you know how I was on Delta, and they have these little computer screens on the back of each seat, and you can actually watch the plane, and like it turns, and you can see it, going over the country, like on the map. And so I was watching that, and we were just doing this big circle, and it was making a spider web because it showed you where you went, and it was like around and around and around. And so finally, though, we were really getting to the point where we were thinking that we were going to have to get diverted to Alabama. Praise the Lord, that didn't have to happen. I may have never made it back out of there. You go there, you're not sure that you'll make it back. And so, luckily, we finally had landed in Atlanta. And by this time, I'm freaked out because my connecting flight should have left by this time. And so, I run out of the plane, and I'm running through the terminal, and the terminal is crazy because this is the biggest airport in the world, and they've gone hours without a plane taking off. So as you can imagine, it is insane in this airport. And so finally I get to the gate, and I see that there was really no reason to run because the plane that I was connecting to had been delayed, of course. And so I go to the person at the gate, and the gate was, you never guess. Thank you, somebody. F4. The gate was F4, so I went up to the lady, the wonderful Delta person, and I said, "Ma'am, when will this plane be taking off?" And she said, "Oh, it's been delayed. We'll get to it as soon as we can. Have a seat. But whatever you do, don't leave F4. You need to stay in F4, and we will eventually get you to your destination." So I sat down in F4. Now, I don't fly much. My dad does. I don't fly much, so I didn't really know. But I know from talking to my dad what this really means. What that meant is we're going to have you sit here for a few hours until we finally announce that your flight's been canceled, and you can either find a different way to Nashville or you can rebook and get there sometime in 2024. That's what it really meant. So I sat down and I started making some friends in F4 because we're all jam-packed. There's not an empty seat to be found. And these people are complaining so much. It was horrible. One of them was like, "Delta, they're lying to us. They know what's going on. They know our plane's never going to take off, but they're not going to tell us." And another one's like, "I hate traveling with Delta. They do this all the time." Another one was like, "Why can't they just be honest with us and tell us what's going on? We're going to be stuck in Atlanta forever." And so I'm sitting there thinking, "Lord, if you will please just teach me something in this situation, that would be wonderful." But finally, the word came over the speaker that they had found us a plane. And so everybody's like, "Yes, thank God." Everybody's clapping and everything. And so we took our baggage and we ran over and we got on the plane. And we go down the runway, and I'm just finally starting to go, "Okay, this is going to be okay. I'm going to get to my destination." But then the pilot comes over the speaker. Well, actually, before that, right as the plane was about to take off, there was like this crackling sound. And the pilot comes over the speaker and says, "That sound that you just heard, that was bad. So we're going to pull the plane back into the terminal, and we're going to go get you another plane." And so all of the people start grumbling. "Oh, this is because of me. When I go to Walmart, the cash register breaks right when I get to the front. When I go out to the restaurant, everybody's order is wrong because I'm at the table." And I'm like, "Lord, it must be so bad to know that the forces of nature have all conspired against you to make your life miserable." But so I got my carry-on, and I only have one bag, but I have my computer bag, and then I just had this little duffel bag. Everything is carry-on. I didn't need to check anything because, ladies, I only need one pair of shoes. Okay? Do you hear me? One pair of shoes. These shoes that I'm wearing right now, check these out. These old rotten shoes, half of y'all probably making fun of me right now. I can preach in these shoes. I can go hiking in these shoes. I can wear these shoes to the water park. I can do anything in these shoes. One pair of shoes. So I get my baggage, and I sit back down with my friends in F4. And the steward, the attendant running the terminal says, everybody stay in F4, and we will get you to your destination. So everybody's grumbling, complaining. Why can't they get us another way out of here? Why can't they get us another plane? We're never going to get back to Nashville. I'm like, oh. But just at this moment, I hear this announcement from the other side of the terminal. And it says, this is the final boarding call for flight, we'll call it 3417. I can't remember what the number was. From Atlanta to Nashville. And I looked up at the little screen, and we had been waiting there so long that the next flight to Nashville in Delta was about to take off. So I thought to myself, what would it hurt? So I grabbed my baggage. I walked over to the other side of the terminal. And I looked at this sweet little lady working for Delta. And I said, ma'am, can I get on that plane? And she said, do you have a ticket? I said, yes, ma'am, but my ticket is for the flight that is stuck in F4. And she looked at me and said, oh, you're not getting on this flight. This flight is for people that have tickets here. Well, I said, ma'am, why not? And she said, well, because the door's already been shut. And I'm thinking, some of y'all don't know this about me, but I've lived long enough in life where I've learned how to get what I want. I have what some of you might refer to as Tennessee charm. I know how to talk to people. So I said, ma'am, a woman of your stature and prominence, if she so chooses, could open that door and let me get on the plane. She did this. She looked at me and she said, what do you do for a living? And I said, ma'am, I'm a preacher. She said, oh, honey, you must be a good one. I said, not as good as you are at your job, but I am. And she said, oh, give me your ticket. And so I gave her a ticket. And she said, I have 7 empty seats on this plane heading to Nashville. Do you want one? I said, yes, ma'am, I do. She said, do you have any baggage? I said, I have it right here. She said, good. If you've got your baggage with you, I can get you to your destination. Now, me, being the incredible Tennessee gentleman that I am, I immediately thought of all of my friends stuck back in F4, right? And so I say, hey, they have 7 empty seats on this flight to Nashville. Come on, we can leave right now. And they're looking at each other, and they looked at me, and they said, who does he think he is? What makes him so special? Why does he think that he knows the way out of Atlanta? Why does he think he has this special knowledge that all of the rest of us don't have? And so I say, I'm serious. There are 6 more seats at F5. Come on over right now. One person grabs their baggage. Can I get on this plane? Lady says, you heard the preacher, man. Come on. I got 6 more seats. He goes, she lets him through the door. He goes off. I say, hey, there are 5 more seats at F5. Come on, we can go right now. Oh, he thinks he's special. We ain't never getting out of here. We are stuck here. I don't know what he's talking about. Come on, we are pleading for you to come. We have 5 more seats. One couple shrugs her shoulders, says, why not? Gets their stuff. Walks over. Can we get on this plane? Lady says, you heard the preacher. Come on. Opens the door, lets them back. Hey, we've got 3 more seats on this plane. I kid you not. This one person who had been complaining the most, saying, the world hates me. I never catch a break. Everywhere I go, people just mess up when I'm trying to do something. He gives me this look, goes like this, and then turns the other way. And so the lady says, oh, preacher, nobody can help them. Come on, let me get you to your destination. And so she took me back. They closed the door. The flight took off, and the empty seat was in first class. You believe that? I never sat in first. I'm just a little pastor, so I don't get to sit in first class very often. So it was kind of cool. I was in the very front of the plane, and never mind. You don't care about that, do you? So we go, and we make it to Nashville, God's country, Tennessee, and it's wonderful. And I get off the plane, and the people that had come with me, I see them as we're getting off, and they're like, hey, preacher, thank you so much for telling me about this flight. Thank you so much for sharing that with me so I could also reach my destination. And I said, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. So I'm a curious person. It's just by nature I'm curious. And so I immediately, when we get to Nashville, and I'm walking past all the bachelorette party signs and everything and all that nonsense. Did you know that Nashville, Tennessee is the bachelorette party capital of the world? If you're thinking of getting married, there you go. So I go up to the terminal, and I asked the lady, I said, can you tell me what happened to flight whatever at F4? And she says, oh, the one at F4? That flight just got canceled. They are still stuck at F4. And what God showed me in that moment, and what He wants to show to some of you today, if you want to change your life, then you have to get up and move. If you want to change your life, you have to get up and go to a different location. Because only Jesus can change your life. Only Jesus can provide the way to your destination. Only Jesus can save you. Only Jesus can truly change your heart. Only Jesus can give you a better life. Only Jesus can get you to your destination. Do not stay stuck in F4. Do not be one of those people that says, that's not fair. Why is Jesus the only way? Why can't this be the way too? Who cares if Jesus is the only way or not? He's the way the Bible teaches. So why don't we take the way that is given and let Jesus bring us to our destination? F4 is Saul, and F4 is going nowhere. F4 is empty religion, going through rituals, trying to earn your way to heaven somehow. And F5 is Jesus, and only Jesus can change your life. Let's pray together.